I'm a performer, a consummate showbiz professional, and I will always deliver a kick-ass show, whether I have 3 midgets in wheelchairs or 8,000 screaming hippies.
What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Tape Tomb, a show where we talk about some of my favorite movies in my ever-growing VHS collection. I'm Larry Downs, and this week, violence has arrived, as we talk about a movie that's more of a glorified music video more than anything, but has everything that we love about the horror genre all jam-packed inside, and that's with 1992's Phallus in Wonderland, directed by heavy metal super band Gwar! Now, for those of you that are unaware, Gwar is a group of intergalactic space beings in a metal band who came to planet Earth to kill and enslave us. Or if you follow the updated mythos, they had sex with apes upon arrival to Earth, giving birth to the bastard children called humans, and then kill and enslave us. It's a little confusing, but either way, we're supposed to be their slaves, and we should be grateful because they said so. Gwar has been around since 1984, but would really come into the spotlight in 1994 when their album This Toilet Earth debuted, and 2 of the songs were shown in Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead loved Gwar's insane live antics and extreme violence mixed with heavy metal, and soon became one of their favorite bands and the sole driving force of the terrible Beavis and Butthead video game. But just a few years prior, for the release of their album America Must Be Destroyed, they took all of the use of those practical effects skills they had and got behind the camera in an attempt to shoot their first full feature-length film, and that would be Phallus in Wonderland. Directed by Distortion and Judas Bullhorn, who did absolutely nothing in the movie world after this, but from what I hear, they weren't paid for this project at all, so you really can't blame them. And starring Gwar, of course, we have Oderus Urungus, Beefcake the Mighty, Ballsack the Jaws of Death, Flatus Maximus, Jizmac the Gusha, and their manager Sleazy P Martini. But what is this movie about? Well, get ready and buckle in, it's gonna be quite the ride. Roll the film. Members of America's grouchiest groups have all gathered in one place to take down America's #1 source of corruption, Gwar. Think the Legion of Doom, but a bunch of hyper-stereotypical people who would generally hate heavy metal music and obscenities like old ladies, members of the clergy, and representatives of the government, including Edna Granbo, Father Hambo, and Corporal Punishment, just to name a few. So Corporal Punishment takes it upon himself to find Oderus Urungus while he's in a drunken stupor and straight up rip his dick off. But us Gwar fanboys know that Oderus Johnson is no ordinary hog. It's also Gwar member Cuddlefish of Cthulu. So the Cuddlefish is put on trial for obscenity from a group of coke-snorting judges. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, everyone's doing a ton of coke and crack in this movie. The judges, these kids, and Gwar for sure. They absolutely love crack. Hell, even their space engines run on the assistance of it.
We are running out of crap.
So it's up to Gwar to go save their bandmate, and of course in all the commotion of shooting a cereal commercial, fighting clergy members that should be behind bars, and doing a ton of drugs, Gwar's giant egg is hatched, and now the giant T-Rex Gorgor is now on the loose, off to destroy not just America, but now the world. What will Gwar do? Probably a ton of crack. But after that, they might decide to save the day in Phallus in Wonderland. Gwar has made a few movies after this one and has had their music featured in quite a few, including Universal Soldier, Hatchet 3, and they even appeared in some films like this scene in Empire Records.
Mark, man, you play a mean guitar, man.
Now, although Gwar is just a metal band, they wouldn't be half as successful if it wasn't for their ability to perform these insane live shows, which include beheadings, battles against every president since Reagan, and even throwing members of the audience into a giant meat grinder. A ton of hard work goes into the making of this show, and these guys and the members of the slave pit crew that runs the theatrics clearly have a ton of skill in makeup, practical effects, etc. And that's a huge selling point for guys like me, other than the fact that these guys are just an insanely talented band. Don't let more than just some of the songs fool you. These abilities clearly transfer over to the band and its members having just as much fun as they would at a live show, but in full control behind a camera, which is a terrifying thought to say the least. But it's this clearly unrepressed level of sincerity in their work and their message that makes Gwar and Phallus in Wonderland a perfect fit for us here at the Tape Tomb. Here's some facts about Phallus in Wonderland. The songs in this movie appear on Gwar's album America Must Be Destroyed from 1992. This movie acts as a pseudo soundtrack for the album while also bringing us a wholesome story. This movie was actually nominated for an Emmy in 1993 but lost to Annie Lennox for Diva. I don't know why, that shit's fucking lame and she's not even smoking crack. But they did rip on it in their song Jack the World in the album the year later. Lead singer Oderus Urungus' human servant Dave Brockie unfortunately passed away on March 23, 2014 due to a heroin overdose, leaving Oderus unable to perform anymore and was replaced by one of the original members who played Beefcake the Mighty from the film. He now goes by Blothar the Berserker, and you should all listen to Gwar. Thank you all for tuning into another episode of The Tape Tomb. I've been your host with the most, Larry Downs. And if you liked this week's episode, make sure you click that like and subscribe button down below. We're always talking about cool movies here at The Tape Tomb, and if you haven't heard about this one today, you could do it again in a future episode. Make sure you tune into our sister series, Airlock Shock, starring Nick Haskin, every other week, still here at Nightmare Fuel Streaming. He talks about sci-fi movies just like we do horror here at The Tape Tomb. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay spooky, my friends, and we will see you in the sequel.